This week on the Retirement Quick Tips podcast, I'm talking about 10 stupid things people waste money on. And today I want to talk about two of the most problematic issues that I see that point to a deeper issue among Americans. And these are both areas of stupid spending. One is a newer trend, the buy now, pay later. You see these a lot on online purchases. When you're looking at the options to pay, like you can do your credit card, maybe you could do like PayPal or Venmo. You've also seen, I'm trying to think, I know Klarna is one. I'm trying to think. There's a bunch of other sites that offer you to pay in installments. I saw it maybe for the first time 2 or 3 years ago. I don't know how long it's been around, not that long. You pay maybe 25% now. And then what it does is it does like an auto debit on your card or your bank account every like 2 weeks or so. So you end up, let's say you're paying something $800 for something, but it's like, well, it would be kind of nice to pay $200 now and then $200 in 2 weeks, $200 in 6 weeks, and then the last $200 in 8 weeks. And so it sounds kind of appealing, especially if you're buying larger, more expensive items. Pay attention to this if you haven't noticed it already. Next time you buy something online, it's pretty much everywhere because most sites now will offer some type of buy now, pay later option. Like I said, it makes sense in certain circumstances, maybe as like a one-time thing. I bought a new sectional for our house in our family room last fall. I bought it at like a Black Friday sale. And the store that I bought it from, they weren't going to be able to deliver it until like January or February. So I was going to wait a couple months anyways to get it. And they said, you could pay half now, and then you can pay the other half when they schedule the delivery. There was no like interest or special financing or anything I needed to sign. It was just like, that's how it worked. I could pay it either all up front or I could pay it split over 2 times. And I was like, well, I'm just easy decision. I'm not going to pay that all right now if I don't have to, especially if there's no like interest or I'm not having to do any sort of credit thing to try to get that split up. Airbnb works that way. You can buy lots of things where it's like pay a little bit now and then the rest later. So it's obviously been around for a long time. It's called layaway, except I'm old enough to know how layaway works because in layaway, you would put money down and then when you had enough money, they reserved it for you. And then when you had enough money, you could take the thing that you bought. Well, it's the opposite now. It's like, well, you can buy now and take it now, enjoy all the perks now and pay for it later. That's how layaway worked, right? I think I'm remembering correctly. But what's interesting is that you can also pay for food delivery and groceries now with the buy now, pay later services. And as a very troubling sign of financial stress, many Americans are now financing grocery purchases through buy now, pay later. There was a LendingTree survey that found that 25% of buy now, pay later users are funding grocery purchases with those loans. That's up from 14% in 2024. First of all, that's a huge increase in 1 year, going from 14% to 25%. And on top of that, not even able to afford paying for groceries. This really, really concerns me. This survey also said that 41% of respondents made a late payment on the buy now, pay later loan in the last year, up from 34% in the prior year. Okay, so how these work is, if you think about it, I could go to 10 different sites right now and I could buy something using the buy now, pay later. So let's say everything I buy in total, it was $100 each. So I'm spending $1,000 in total, but I'm spending only a few $100s right now and I'll spend another few hundred, I'll split up in 4 payments. But imagine a typical person on Saturday, they're going to the grocery store, buy now, pay later. On Tuesday, they're doing food delivery, buy now, pay later. These are very, very short-term loans. And when you have multiple ones going at one time, you can see how it becomes kind of this house of cards because it's hard to keep track. If you have one on something really expensive, it's like, okay, I know. And you can make sure that you have enough money in your bank account and things like that and know when your credit card payment is due and try to stay on top of it. But how could you possibly stay on top of 8 different buy now, pay later loans, many of which you're using to fund basic necessity purchases like groceries. There was another survey from NerdWallet, and they found that half of Americans, about 55%, have used buy now, pay later services. So it's really become very popular. Many people use it, but many people end up, because they cannot pay fully on time or in that 8-week period, they'll end up taking out a longer term loan, carry multiple loans at the same time. If you miss a payment and have a late fee, it can be very expensive. I think it can be up to like 25% of the purchase amount. If you have to take out a loan, it's even higher than what credit card rates are. So like you could pay fees well over 30% on that purchase. So it really concerns me. The fees are very high. It's not because it's newer, it's not as well regulated. Tons of people, 55% of Americans, according to that one survey, are using it. And here's the deeper issue. Savings rates for Americans are really, really low. Most Americans simply do not have enough cash in their bank accounts to provide the necessary breathing room. And so when you have these services that make it a bit easier to stretch your dollars, things that are outside of your control, I get it. Inflation, that's one of the big reasons why groceries are way more expensive than they were 5 years ago. And most people's incomes have not kept pace with that. So I think the solution here is always maintaining breathing room in your bank account and your budget so that you never need to use these services. Or if you do, make sure it's a one-time thing and you pay it off quickly and you actually have the ability to pay it off in those installments when those come due. And the same thing is true for paying credit card interest, which is the other stupid thing I see people waste money on. If you have paid any interest on your credit card in the last 2 years and that carrying that balance forward wasn't a one-time emergency that you very quickly paid off, like I mean within a month or two, that also points to either a spending problem or a combination of these two things, actually. A spending problem and or not enough cash in your bank account. Because if you have a buffer of cash in your bank account, you should never have to carry any credit card debt at all. Like I said, there are one-time emergencies, but it's a very bad, pervasive habit among Americans that they'll continuously use their credit cards, build up those balances on those credit cards, build up those debt loads, and then pay like minimum payments, and they just keep it going. And like the buy now, pay later, multiple loans at a time, it's just a house of cards. And all that needs to happen is one big financial blow up and poof, that's it. You lose your job. You can't pay these anymore. You have a huge medical emergency and you have no financial buffer. This is one of the main reasons why so many Americans struggle financially, is because they rely on credit card debt to get them through the end of the month, or any little thing comes up and they don't have any cash or any savings in their bank account. So if this is something that you struggle with or are tempted by, especially for bigger purchases, invest in yourself more and build up that discipline to save. It's hard to save. I get it. It's so much easier to just put it on a credit card and be like, well, that's a problem for tomorrow. But if it's something that you really want, or, a vacation you really want, or an item you really want to purchase, and you're tempted to put it on a credit card or use one of the buy now, pay later apps, you will build character and you will enjoy that thing so much more if you sacrifice a little bit and save for however long it takes you to save, rather than putting it on a credit card or doing the buy now, pay later. I better wrap it up. I do think that this buy now, pay later scheme is actually a really huge problem. We'll see if there's stories cropping up in the news, but so many Americans are teetering on the edge financially, and any downturn in the economy, someone gets laid off, you have an emergency, and that happens at a mass scale. I think that there are a lot of people on the edge of financial ruin. And unlike in 2008 and previously, I don't know how the government is going to bail them out. Like, the government is going to need a bailout pretty soon. So, we just have so much more debt. I don't see how we dip into those coffers again. to help people who have financial ruin if this happens again. So on that high note, that's it for today. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Ashley Mitchell, and this is the Retirement Quick Tips Podcast.